What is up, everybody? All right, I want to walk through the practical process of implementing the idea that I shared in the Twitter thread and how to use this document, the campaign idea backlog, to support it. So first, generally speaking, what I believe about Facebook ad accounts at this point is that I want to leverage the downside protection of utilizing cost caps and fire as many different bullets, sometimes we'll refer to them as pipes or campaigns, as I can, set against cost cap, and see how much delivery I can get inside of my ad account with that downside protection. Because in my opinion, bad spend is worse than no spend. And so the problem I want to solve for inside of an ad account is I want to solve for volume, not efficiency. I want to protect my efficiency and solve for volume. And so the way that we'll do that is by having as many campaigns as we can launched against that cost cap. Well, the struggle with this generally means that when you have issues, it is when Facebook is constraining your delivery and reducing your volume. So if you want to solve for that, you need to have enough ideas to get through the amount of spend that you have planned for a period of time. And in order to build that plan, you have to be able to be thoughtful around the estimation of spend per campaign that you anticipate for the month. And so this framework that I came up with, this idea of $2 of ideas for every dollar of spend, is just a way of saying that you need to plan for most of your stuff to not work and have enough backlogged ideas in order to get through all the volume that you need, because many of the ads that you launch will not work. And so this idea of planning for failure, backlogging excess ideas, is the root of this methodology. Now, very practically, the way that we do that, and a backlog is generally a product development sort of software terminology, this idea that you have a bunch of features that you're going to sequence from highest priority to lowest priority and work through them in order. Well, the same is true here. We're going to build a backlog of ideas or campaign concepts, and we're going to work through them with an assessment of highest potential impact to the business or brand. And so that's all you're doing, is you're building as many different ideas, and each idea constitutes a campaign that you will launch in your ad account. And you want to know, in an ideal world, sometimes what we'll do is an exercise where we'll just brainstorm 100 ideas, and then we'll go through and rank them in priority. But the point is that you want more ideas than you need to succeed. So very practically, what comprises this sheet? Well, the column begins with what I think every ad starts with: the offer. What are you selling? Every great ad has three things. This is sort of the triangle of advertising. It has an offer, an angle, and an audience, right? The offer is what you're selling. The angle is how you're selling it. And the audience is who you're selling it to, okay? So every ad needs to have those three things, and every campaign needs to have those three things. So it begins with the what you're selling. Not enough ads very specifically consider the end purchase objective of the ad, so the offer. And I'll give you this example for Bamboo Earth. So this first one, offer, is our 30% off our Aging Gracefully mini kit. So we have designed a specific concept. Now, to be clear, an offer doesn't have to include a discount. The offer could simply be just the product, our Aging Gracefully mini kit. But in this case, because we have a bunch of excess margin, when we kit our products or bundle them, we're able to offer discounts and still have really, really healthy margins in this business. So for new customer acquisition, because our brand, we don't have a ton of awareness, we're leveraging that price as a validation of trust or opportunity for testing, especially with our mini kits. It's a way to lower the barrier to trying the product. So that is the offer in this case. The angle then is how we're selling that kit. In other words, what is the problem we're going to solve? What is the job to be done? These are different frameworks for thinking about angles. But what is the core message, the problem, the hook that I'm going to go out and get the customer with? And in this case, we're saying that dehydration causes premature aging. So who we're speaking to is, the audience is women over 50, women that are considering aging as part of their process and are concerned about the effects. And so what we want to present to them is, here's a risk factor that causes premature aging, dehydration. And here's how our product is a solution for it. So you have a very clear offer, you have a very clear angle, and you have a very clear audience. Now you'll notice in our audience, we both define the tactical definition of audience. So we're going to be running this too broad. In other words, no filtered parameters. But one of the mistakes that I see advertisers make is that even alongside defining broad, they think that means generally everybody, but it doesn't. Remember, broad just simply means that the engagement response to the ad is going to drive Facebook to determine who to deliver it to, but it should be a specific who in your mind when you're designing the ad. So in this case, we have women over 50, okay? And then what we'll do is we'll actually sort of then define the syntax of the ad. So you have prospecting, define the offer and the angle in the title so that when you're looking at the campaign in the ad account, you can easily see what you're running. We'll define our exclusions, and then we actually write the copy here. So in this case, you can see, how old do you think Annie is? She's 58 and her skin absolutely glows. So this is the hook. We ask the customer a question to consider an opinion of the person that they see. And we're going to surprise them that she's older than you may have thought. And it talks about how she has been able to fight aging with this Aging Gracefully kit, right? So that is the presentation of the copy. The number of ads that we're going to run, so specifically how many different versions of this value proposition are we going to put together? And now, ideally, every ad is going to have a variation or a form for every point of distribution. So there's going to be an IG story version, a desktop news or mobile newsfeed, IG feed version of every ad. And then I'm going to jump over here to the sheet because this is the sort of really important part then, is the budget and ad planning. So what I want to fill out is, what is the anticipated average order value of this product? Now remember, this is where it's really important to understand the specific order value of the funnel you're designing. Because if you're running to the homepage, you might be able to say that you could use the website's average order value, but likely the offer that you're running has a specific anticipated order value. So we use the AOV for this offer. Then we want to understand the margin on that bundle. So what is the margin on that? And then from there, that allows us to set a break-even CPA. So we want to know, for us at Babyworth, we target break-even on first order or slight profitability. Okay. So when we're looking for break-even CPA, we're trying to use that to inform our cost cap. So you might not use break-even CPA because you might be interested in a certain marginal consideration. So if you want a certain marginal consideration on first order, you have to put that into this column. Another thing to note here, you'll note that the break-even CPA is actually above the AOV. Well, how does that work despite this margin? We have found and track about 30% signal loss in Facebook for our performance. So we actually bake that into the consideration for our cost cap in correlation to the actual AMER or new customer revenue over ad spend that we want. So that gets us to inform the cost cap. Okay, so this is really important. So we're going to run this funnel on an $116 cost cap. Okay, and that means that at $160 cost cap, the question is, how much budget do we need to get out of learning phase? Because we need to get to 50 purchases per week per ad set. So at $116, we built this little calculator that, depending on what I put for the daily budget, so if I change this to $1,200 as an example, oh no, it's this one, $900, you'll see the number of purchases that I anticipate getting that week will change. And I want to make sure I'm getting to 50. So this is just a way for us to say, do we have enough budget to get out of learning phase for this funnel? If not, how much daily budget would we need? So if we set the daily budget to, and let's say we make it $1,200, that means that's what we're actually going to put into Facebook. But this is really the important consideration is, based on that target CPA and my historical performance, how much money do I actually think I'm going to get through in that campaign? Okay, because remember, when you're running cost caps, not lowest cost, there's no guarantee that you spend your daily budget. So historically, if I'm easily hitting $116 cost cap, I might say 100%, and I'll change this to exactly $1,200. I expect to spend all of it. Great, that gets me 73 purchases per week. Okay, if not, maybe only 75% of the time I want to be a little bit more conservative. I think I'm going to get through $900. Okay, cool. That still gets me through learning phase. And now I have an expected daily spend. Now, what I'll tell you is, when you start, how accurate you're going to be around the expected daily spend is going to be really low because you don't have a lot of historical data, or maybe you haven't run cost caps much, or you're launching a new funnel, and so you have not a real clear idea. So in that case, what I would do is I would be conservative of my estimation of actual daily spend. So I might put it closer to $450 a day. And then as you build this, now you're going to go on to your next idea and next idea and next idea and next idea, and you're going to build a whole backlog of ideas. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sum the expected daily spend column to see, okay, my expected spend is $5,150 on this set of ideas. So if I need to spend $150,000 in the month, right now, I would say I have enough ideas to get myself there. Now, if I was trying to spend 150, I'd say, ooh, I'm really redlined against this. And if my estimations are inaccurate at all, I might need more. So I will probably then build out further backlog to supplement, to ensure that I know how many ideas I need to get through to get to where I'm going. And I have the sort of weighted average summation of the ROAS. So it's a weighted average of the spend and ROAS expectation of every funnel to determine where I need to get for the account. Okay. And then Now the creative team is designing against these concepts. They know the landing page. We run everything in this account on a one-day click optimization. So this is really important too. My cost cap is a one-day click estimation. So if you have a 7-day click target, you're going to need to allow for some improvement between 1 and 7-day click, but we run everything off of a one-day click for this brand. So now I can take this, and when I design it, I build exactly into the ad account this specific funnel with this specific cost cap. So I'm looking inside of Statless here. This is a view of the month of April, all of our ad accounts, or all of our campaigns. You can see all of them running with cost cap. You'll see all of them running with the value proposition and the offer. Loose neck, AG 30%. We just met 50% off. Premature aging. So that's this one, right? Premature aging. So you can see everything that we're running, the specific offer, funnel, and how much spend and volume that I'm getting. And for this brand, again, my goal, closer to that $100 CPA, right about a 101 at my signal loss. That gets me basically exactly where I'm at. And we're able to push a ton of volume. You can see in the month of April, we spent $327,000 using this methodology after in January, we got through, let's see, January, we got through $100,000. So we've 3.7x'd from January to April using this exact strategy. And you can see the ROAS is basically exactly the same. CPA 102 in January. CPA in April was $110 CPA against a little bit higher AOV. So really close. Oh, that's 1-day click too. Let's go to 7-day click. Boom. Yep. 101 CPA. So by just stacking many opportunities as you can, what's going to happen is you'll see that eventually one of these campaigns will likely hit. You'll get a pipe that is delivering that you can constantly keep increasing budget on with a cost cap. That's an ideal scenario, is that you have a constant, consistent set of delivery against a campaign with a cost cap on. That is the dream scenario. You want to stack as many of those as you possibly can. And when one hits, you can get this to really disproportionate performance. And when one doesn't hit, what that simply means is that that volume gets teetered off. And so what can happen is if you have an ad, now let's say maybe it got delivery for a week, and what happens is you may go now make some alterations. Like we ran this specific campaign and the ad in it in March, it hit. It ran really, really well for a long time, this single ad. You can see that literally one ad represents $111,000 of the $330,000 in spend. And all we did is it died off at the end of March. We redesigned the beginning of it, relaunched it again in April, and it picked up that volume again for us. So we'll usually take and continue to iterate on the places where we're getting volume already, make sure we have every version, every placement, and extract as much volume as we can out of that opportunity. And then for stuff that never gets delivery, we have to sort of redesign and go through broader changes. But this idea, the job is now, and what's great is that even when you're winning, you want to keep building. A lot of times there's a habit for media buyers to only build once something fails. But the key is to expect that things are going to fail and just build and know exactly where you're going to go next. And the beauty about cost caps is if you overspend with cost caps, it's fine because you're likely going to get the efficiency that you want. Now, the thing to remember is that every time you launch a new campaign, there's a phase of optimization. So the early performance is often the worst performance, and you have to allow it to sit. So in our world, we never turn off campaigns. The only way a campaign turns off is if delivery gets stopped. Right? We allow Facebook to make that allocation decision, and we just continue to build out new ideas and come up with new ways to extract more volume out of the ad account. So this process is awesome creatively because it forces you to think clearly in terms of angles and offers, which is a clear consideration for average order value margin and therefore where your cost caps need to be set, because every funnel should have a specific cost cap relative to the specific unit economics of that offer. And this helps you it'll align your creative and media buying team around both creative strategy and ideation, planning and media buying, and budgeting to ensure you get to the volume you need. Far too often, people are scaling their spend up and down relative to performance. And so performance will decline, and so they'll pull back spend. That's actually the fastest way to die, is to put, the reality is if you want to hit a growth number, you can't pull back spend. What you need to do is to launch new ideas into the opportunity to continue to subsidize any decline in volume. You always have to pick up that pacing. So every day we take this and we apply it into our growth maps, which is a daily tracking of spend against expectation. And so we can see each day, are we getting the volume that we need? If not, new ideas get launched to subsidize that volume. So hope this helps. Feel free to ask questions. And of course, if you ever want help with this strategy, that's what we do at CTC. So here to help you and discuss it. But let me know if you have questions. I'd love to see how putting this into practice for you works.